today we're going to do something a little different. We're taking a massive corporate sustainability report, the 2024 Woolworths Good Business Journey Report, and we're going to boil it all down into a quick explainer. So, what does it really take for a global company to be good? Let's find out. I mean, that's a huge question, right? In a world dealing with climate change, social inequality, and customers who are paying way more attention, companies are under some serious pressure to figure it out. It's just not about profit anymore. It's about having a real purpose and making an impact. And this is Woolworths' answer. They call it the Good Business Journey, or GBJ for short. It's basically their game plan for tackling all these huge issues, and they've set a pretty ambitious goal: to become one of the most responsible retailers on the planet. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the big picture vision, then we'll dive into how it affects people, how they source their products, and what they're doing for the planet. And then we'll see how it all stacks up in the real world. Okay, first up, let's look at the foundation for this whole thing. The Good Business Journey isn't just a fluffy mission statement. Nope, it's guided by a really specific long-term strategy they call Vision 2025 Plus. Vision 2025 Plus really boils down to these three core ideas. Inclusive justice is all about how they treat people. Ethical and fair is about where their stuff comes from. And thriving and resilient tackles their environmental footprint. These three pillars are basically the roadmap for everything else we're going to talk about. All right, let's dive into that first pillar, caring for people. This is all about the human side of the business. Employees, their well-being, the communities they work in, and basically trying to make a positive difference. A really big piece of their inclusive justice idea comes down to pay, and they've made a very specific choice to go way beyond what the law requires. And this number, wow, this really says it all. Their own internal just wage is almost 50% higher than the national minimum wage in South Africa. That's not just a little bump, it's a huge commitment to making sure their employees are paid fairly. And what's so interesting here is the thinking behind that number. The company's director of corporate affairs says it's about moving past a living wage, which is just enough to get by, to a just wage. It's a subtle but really important difference. It's about fairness, not just survival. But it definitely doesn't stop with paychecks. They're getting recognized for gender equality, they're helping young entrepreneurs get started, they're donating a massive amount of surplus food, and they're creating internships in farming. So it's a really broad approach to making a difference. Okay, next up, that second pillar, sourcing responsibly. This is all about the supply chain, asking the tough questions about where products actually come from, how they're made, and who's making them, from the farm right to the store shelf. A huge piece of this is their Farming for the Future program. The idea is to promote farming that's actually good for the soil and the environment. And get this, it's not some tiny niche thing. A full 85% of their food products are now part of this program. And, of course, responsible sourcing also has to include animal welfare. They actually got a special award for their work on cage-free eggs, which is something they've been committed to for 20 years. It just goes to show you this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Now, when we talk about those big global commodities, the ones often linked to things like deforestation, the report says they've hit 100% responsible sourcing for palm oil, cocoa, and timber. That is a pretty major milestone. All right, on to the third pillar, protecting our planet. This is where they tackle their environmental impact head-on, covering everything from carbon emissions and energy all the way to waste and packaging. They've got a massive goal of hitting net zero carbon by 2040. So how are they doing? Well, the data shows they're making real progress. They've cut their direct carbon emissions by 30% just since 2019. That's a key number to watch. So how are they actually cutting those emissions? Well, this is a super cool example of innovation. They have a refrigeration truck that's powered by the movement of its own axle. It's brilliant. Just one of these trucks can cut carbon emissions by 27 tons a year. And the other big piece of this environmental puzzle, of course, is waste. The big goal here is to make it so that all of their own brand product packaging is either reusable or recyclable, a true circular economy. And here's what that looks like on the shelf. They actually won an award for redesigning their iced tea bottles. They created a new kind of sleeve, so now the entire package, bottle, sleeve, everything, can be recycled together. It's one of those small changes that makes a huge difference. So, we've seen the goals and all the different initiatives. But how are they actually doing? Are they hitting their targets? This last part, from report to reality, ties it all together by looking at the actual measurable results. This little table gives us a great snapshot of their progress. For the just wage goal, they're saying, check, achieved. For the other two big ones, sourcing responsibly and that net zero climate goal, they're reporting that they are officially on track to meet their targets. And I think this really gets to the heart of the whole strategy. This good business journey isn't some separate feel-good department. The goal is to weave these ideas into every single part of the company, from how they pay people to how they ship things to how they design a bottle. And that leaves us with one last big question. When a major company puts its entire plan out there like this, warts and all, it kind of challenges the rest of us, doesn't it? As consumers, as employees, as citizens. It makes you think, what does their good business journey mean for my own?